Hey all, and welcome to Shadow of Space, and we're commenting on another BCP video. This one is titled, Democrat on the verge of dropping out against Republican as Bombshell Allegation Implodes Campaign. This was uploaded July 6th. This is being recorded July 7th, and link is in the description.
Here's some breaking news
Can't
coming into the story.
last video if I
Maine
said June or
Democratic
July.
Senate candidate Graham Platner responding to a bombshell new Politico report detailing serious allegations of sexual assault. Politico reporting, quoting now, a woman who dated Platner says he forced her to have sex with him nearly 5 years ago, despite her repeated objections, an allegation Platner denies. The woman...
His story is complicated because sometimes he will say, I never did those things, but then sometimes he'll say, I had a dark past and it's complicated, implying that he may have done some of those things, but he was doing it under, like, post-war PTSD distress. So, I don't know.
41-year-old Maine resident named Jenny Rassicott detailed the alleged incident in 3 interviews over the past 2 weeks. Now, Platner denying the allegations outright. He just put out a new video calling them, quoting again, troubling, serious, and false. He says, again quoting, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love. More on this as we get it, and there will be more.
When the New York Times story came out, you were in it, but you didn't go as far in that story as you are today.
Yeah.
Why not?
I didn't want to. I didn't want to have to violate this huge level of privacy to my own life to be able to infer that this person is not honest and trustworthy. I felt really protective of my own privacy throughout this whole process. And it got to a point where my privacy was no longer going to happen. And that was when I kind of just made the decision that, like, I'm going to say my piece and get it out there. I had tried to give the...
Were people putting pressure on you? Did people, like... That's an odd decision to come to.
impression that something, worse happened. And that's when it was like, I refused to comment further.
You definitely alluded.
Boy, we gotta talk about some very juicy news that I personally think is the beginning of the end for the so-called blue wave, right? As I've been telling you guys over and over and over again, Democrats they're about to fall so hard. They are about to choke so hard.
See, you say that, but at the same time, someone like Kyle Klinsky doesn't matter. If he's going to say something like Graham Platner could shove a pineapple, he would say his dick hole. I would say his urethra, because it doesn't matter. And he would still vote for him, then that means, and I guess I'm putting words in his mouth, that if Graham Platner did rape this woman, he would still vote for him. It doesn't matter. If the anti-corporate, anti-Trump / Republican sentiment is true, then I don't think any of this matters. I really don't.
On this blue wave, okay? Because Democrats are they're supposed to win back the Senate. They're supposed to win back the House. But I don't think it's going to happen because you got these communists, these far-left Looney Tunes that are running in these Senate races and these House races, and they're going to end up losing these general elections because they're just insane candidates, right? The far left has basically said, look, we will push anybody that is Trump deranged and a communist. If you're a communist and you're Trump deranged, you qualify. It doesn't matter who you are. If you got a Nazi tattoo, doesn't matter. They don't care, right?
No.
In this case, it might be too much with Graham Platner. Now, as we know, again, Graham Platner has a Nazi tattoo. He's a communist, and he has Me Too allegations. But the Me Too allegations that he had before weren't really that bad, right? I mean, they were kind of bad if you hold leftists to the standards that they set, right? Believe all women, okay? Oh, he was a little abusive, he's a little aggressive women. But there was always hints that there was going to be something bigger, right? There were going to be bigger allegations that were going to come out against Graham Platner as his campaign was already imploding versus Susan Collins, because Susan Collins historically underperforms in the polls, right? She literally outperforms the polls by like 10 points on election day. Okay, so it's very hard to poll Susan Collins in Maine. She's a centrist Republican in the actual true sense of the word, right? When you talk about centrism, I would actually say she may be a liberal Republican, but far leftists call anybody that disagrees with the far left centrist, right? No,
That's
not
why, like, political affiliation as a label
that type of centrist, right?
doesn't
But
really
like
do
she's actually
anything.
really like a centrist,
Doesn't
like
say
liberal
anything.
Republican, the type of Republican that Democrats claim that they like, right? The Trump deranged Republicans, who again are basically centrist liberals. Yeah, she's that type of Republican. So it seems as if Susan Collins here is going to pull this off against Graham Platner, because these new allegations against Graham Platner, I think, are the nail in his coffin, right? I think that it's over for him, considering how these allegations are like hardcore grape allegations, and we got to talk about it because he's now getting some backlash from individuals, mainly women, who are saying, okay, enough is enough, right? We can't continue to stomach this guy. You can't continue to push this dude down our throat with these type of allegations. So without further ado, let's listen to this guy who used to work for the mainstream liberal media. Let's listen to him talk about these fresh allegations against Graham Platner, and then we're going to get into some of the backlash and also Graham Platner's response.
We have breaking news.
I can't imagine his response is going to be anything different from what it's been, which is either I deny the allegations outright, or yes, I've done questionable things in my past, but I've done the work to move past those things, and I'm a different person now. Those are usually his go-to responses whenever he's confronted with these allegations. That's usually his response. So I would question whether it would actually deviate from that.
Woman who was
Sorry, I couldn't think of the
involved
word.
with Graham Platner, the Democratic Senate nominee in Maine, says in an interview with Politico that Graham Platner sexually assaulted her against her will, had sex with her when he was, quote unquote.
See, listen to this language. Sexually assaulted her, but then had sex with her without her permission. These two things are not the same. Unless you're going to sit here and say that rape is just a more extreme form of sexual harassment, which, I mean, I guess that's true.
Blackout,
but
drunk.
If it were truly the same thing, then it wouldn't be given its own category. I don't.
Let me go to
I guess
this story so that you can see it. This obviously has a ton of repercussions in both the Maine Senate race, but the Senate fight more generally. Here's the headline: Woman who dated Graham Platner says he sexually assaulted her. I just want to read you the top. A woman who dated U.S. Senator candidate Graham Platner says he forced her to have sex with him nearly 5 years ago, despite her repeated objections and allegation. Platner denies. The woman, a 41-year-old Maine resident named Jenny Rasico, detailed the alleged incident Politico in 3 interviews over the past 2 weeks. Politico also spoke with the man Roscoe dated and confided in the years after the alleged incident, and reviewed documents, including emails between Roscoe and her therapist and messages between Roscoe and an acquaintance whom she warned against getting involved with Platner years before he ran for office. I remember him grabbing my pelvis and being really forceful of me, she said. I remember the specific moment where I thought to myself, like, this is no longer my choice. Platner denied the allegations. These allegations are troubling, serious, and false. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically untrue. Okay, so I will obviously link to the story. I want to get into all of this because there's a lot to unpack here. Before I do that, I do hope...
Now, I want to say this. Right? If this is a Republican, they would be calling this what it is, right?
No.
Rape.
Right. It wouldn't even be a question. it would instantly be believe all women. What she says has to be true, and they wouldn't ever deviate from the position for any
Okay, let's
reason.
call it what it is. Okay, they say sexual assault, but that just don't land the same way as rape, right? Because that is what he's being accused of. I just want everybody to be clear. If it was a Republican, they would be calling it rape, but because the Democrat, they're trying to soften it up a little bit and say, well, it's sexual assault. And it's like, well, clearly you read these allegations, if you read what this woman is saying that he did to her, yeah,
Right?
it
I
sounds like
mean, any sort of sexual harassment is non-consensual. So again, there has to be a distinction between just sexual harassment and actual non-consensual penetrative sex. These are two separate things.
rape to me, to be honest with you.
Unless they aren't.
Be subscribed, independent,
I don't think, well,
authentic here every
I
single
mean,
day. Hit that subscribe button. Okay, so for people who have not followed this race, Graham Platner is a 41-year-old oyster farmer in Maine. He's come sort of out of nowhere over the last year to become a phenomenon on the left, endorsed by people like Bernie Sanders and others.
See, but so it's, again, it's artificial. The only reason that he's in this position is because he says the right things. I mean, at that point, it's even questionable whether he actually believes them, or two, whether he actually knows how to affect the systems to get done what he wants to get done.
Basically because he was running such a strong campaign, the sitting governor of the state, Janet Mills, dropped out of the race because she was going to lose in a primary. Platner won that primary last month.
Yep.
But he has had a series of very negative stories and revelations about him. There were the Reddit posts where he wrote intolerant things about Black people, white people living in rural areas, women. There's the tattoo he has on his chest, the Totenkopf, the symbol that the Nazis adopted at Skull and Crossbones. He said he didn't know it was a Nazi aligned tattoo and has since had it removed. The New York Times wrote a big piece about a month and a half ago saying that three of the women that Platner had dated, including, by the way, Jenny Roscoe, who is at the center of this Politico story.
In regard to the tattoo, it's one where oftentimes if you're in like a unit, you get tattoos together. My question would be, did other people also get this tattoo, or did other people go to get their tattoos while he went to go get his tattoo? And while they were doing it, did he talk about knowing what the tattoo meant? Just because at this point it's a pattern where whenever there's some sort of negative accusation, he completely denies it. Oh, well, I didn't know I got this tattoo. Out of all of the tattoos that they had that they could have gotten, I picked this one, but I had no idea what it meant. Did he? This woman comes forward with these allegations. He says, well, I deny any sort of non-consensual sexual contact. Is he right or not?
Had said that he was toxic in relationships and had made them feel unsafe, though none of them had went as far as this woman does in this story, saying Platner forced her to have
because my other question is this the same person from when these allegations first came up in these stories? Is this someone different? I guess
have sex against
I don't know.
her will.
Yeah, so you guys remember,
I'm trying to
and I'm
remember.
thinking about this, it's so funny. Kyle Kalinske, in response to these initial allegations against Graham Platner, right? He was like, oh, I'd let Graham Platner sex my mother, right?
He did also say that he, well, I mean,
wouldn't care. I'd still vote for him, right? I wonder what he's going to say in response to this, right?
Well, see, again, I don't know why it would matter. if he's going to take that position where a supposedly happily married man, he would allow him to have some sort of sexual encounter for someone outside of that relationship. I mean, I
He's
don't
gonna come
know.
out here and say, "I let Graham Platner sexually assault my wife," right? And I'd still vote for him, right? I bet a good amount of money. I bet a good amount of money that Kyle Kalinske is gonna say something like that, right? In response to these allegations. It's gonna be very, very, very interesting to see how this guy's defenders
Well,
try.
either that or he's going to act really violent and or really aggressive and outraged and be like, I told you the whole time that this guy was no good, and now the Republican is definitely going to win because all of the trash garbage candidates couldn't couldn't get to the finish line. It's one where I guess I have
To
no
finagle
idea.
their way through this one, right? There's only so
He might not react at all, although I
much
doubt
mental
that.
gymnastics that you can do when again your party, right, your side of the political aisle, apparently you're supposed to believe all women, right? Or is that just the thing when it comes to Republicans and conservatives and Trump supporters who are accused of these types of allegations? We're gonna see.
Well, I mean, like,
5 years ago. So there's been a lot of talk about this. This is one of the most critical Senate races in the country. Susan Collins, who has been in the Senate since 1996, is running for another term as a Republican. This has largely been seen as Democrats' best chance to win, to beat a Republican incumbent in 2026 and to begin their march to retake the Senate majority, where they need 4 seats, a net of 4 seats to do so. I have said over and over again that given Platner's past, that it seemed likely to me other stories, kind of like this one in Politico, would come out. I will note that 1 week from today, July 13th, is the deadline for Graham Platner as the Democratic nominee for Senate to remove himself from.
I mean, you can't just sit here and talk about him removing himself. Who takes up his mantle after him? Who is the Democrat in Maine who doesn't have a shady past, who is also a DSA who could fill that seat? Either a DSA or an ED, an establishment Democrat.
The ballot to drop out of the race, he would then be replaced by the state Democratic Party. He has a week to do so. He cannot be forced out of the race. He would have to drop out of the race, but there's 1 week until he can do that and be replaced on the ballot with someone else against Susan Collins in the fall election. So let's go through a little more of the political story. So this woman, Jenny Roscoe, said...
Yeah. So we're not going to go through all that, right? If you guys want to know more about allegations, you can look that up yourself, right? We know the gist of what he's been.
I mean, I feel like we have a pretty good picture at this point.
This is his response to these allegations, and I want to play this because again, this is him explaining himself, right? And he's claiming that these allegations are false, but at the same time, they're saying that they're going to evaluate moving forward the best way to address this, right? To address his candidacy, right? Whether or not he's going to continue to run, which suggests there's a possibility that he could drop out.
I wanted to directly address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false. Over the last 10 months, I've been deeply humbled.
Yeah, that's all fine and good, but your party, right? Your side of the aisle says we're supposed to believe all women, right? So I'm trying to figure out what it is. Okay, if we're supposed to
see, but there are 2 sides to a story. There's her side, which is she had non-consensual sex with him, and there's his, who says that all of the allegations are false.
believe all women, why shouldn't we believe these allegations? Okay, I'm just saying, that's what I'm trying to figure out. That's why I want these leftists to explain to me.
By the faith Mainers have put in me. You have welcomed me into your homes, into your places of work, into your restaurants, into your houses.
Because it isn't that simple. It's one where you can text someone for a hookup, not really want to go through with it, but then think, well, but he's in a position of power. He's ex-military, so he's obviously far stronger than I am. So can I say no? In which case, they're saying yes. They are consenting, but they don't really want to. It's why it gets difficult.
Worship. You have shown that a different
I
kind of
guess I don't know what
politics,
her full
one that
story
puts
is.
the interests of people over corporations,
But
is not
I
just
mean, at this point, he isn't even apologizing anymore. Now he's just giving his political speech. Well, I believed in taxing the corporate and stopping Trump and MAGA, and that's why you should still continue to vote for me. But I'm going to do whatever.
possible, but is inevitable. This movement we have built, the largest volunteer base in the history of Maine politics, the hundreds of thousands of grassroots donors, and the supporters across the ideological spectrum, we were united in a love of Maine, a belief that our politics must change, and a focus on defeating Susan Collins. So, regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins.
Yeah.
See, but to me that wouldn't matter. If you were innocent and you knew that you were innocent, then it wouldn't matter. The charges, what, or what's the word he uses? The accusations are false. He doesn't say allegations. The allegations are false, and I, I,
So we're taking the time to reflect on the best path forward. What does that sound like? That sounds like I'm about to drop out, right? I'm considering dropping out. Boy, you
yeah,
gotta love it.
I
You
mean, that's
got to
kind of
love
what
it.
it
And
sounds
here's
like
the
he
thing. Here's
says.
the thing. If this guy drops out, it's over. This seat is done. Okay? We're
Yep.
keeping this seat. We're keeping this seat. Okay? And I know it's Susan Collins. I get it. But I would much rather have a centrist, Trump deranged Republican than a communist. I'm just telling you guys. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. Okay? I would rather have Trump deranged centrist Republicans than communists in the Senate, right? In Congress. I'm just saying that it is what it is. But what's going to happen is if this dude drops out, the leftists, they're going to refuse to vote, right? It doesn't matter who the Democrat nominee is. If they're not a communist and Trump arranges well too, just like this guy, they're not going to vote, right? They're going to be like, well, you know what? We're going to not vote because we don't like the fact that the establishment forced our guy out, right? That's exactly what's going to happen. So this is a full-blown implosion. This is an implosion, and this is happening to Democrats because, again, they chose to get in bed with lunatics, okay? When you choose to get in bed with lunatics, this is what happens. I just talked about that race out there in Michigan, okay? You got another lunatic that's about to win the Democrat primary. He also is a weak candidate that likely is going to lose to the Republican as well, too. I'm telling you, the blue wave is going to be canceled if things continue to go the way they're going for these far leftists, okay? For the Democrats who got in bed with these individuals.
Those were the goals when we launched this campaign, and they remain my goals today. On June 9th, 154,058 Mainers, the most in primary history, voted to reject a broken politics beholden to Washington and the donor class. They voted for hope, for change, to take back our economy, to take back our power, and to take back our Senate.
See, and we're not talking about the accusations again. We're not talking about the allegations again.
Throughout it all, you never turned your back on me, and I will not turn my back on you now. Every one of you deserves to see that vision come to fruition and see Susan Collins defeated, and we will use every tool at our disposal to do so. As Maine goes, so goes the nation. As always, thank you.
It didn't. I mean, what did he say? He said, the allegations are false, and I'm going to continue to fight for you. Depending on what happens, I may end up dropping out, but until they tell me that I have to drop out, it's going to be business as usual. That's basically what he said.
Yeah, he's on the verge of dropping out. Hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Again, I don't
I mean,
know if these allegations.
Again, it's one where it's a difference between letting the Republican win and, well,
Is it true or not, right? But Democrats told me to believe all women. So, hey, it is what it is. I don't believe all women personally, right? I personally don't. Men lie, women lie, right? Women lie a lot, actually. In fact, I tend to be skeptical, right? When I hear a woman talk or make some type of claim or some type of allegation, I feel like I'm like she might be lying, right? So I don't believe all women, right? I don't believe in that, okay? But there are a lot of people who do, okay? And they're having a hard time reconciling the fact that this guy has these Me Too allegations and they're supposed to, again, believe all women, which is why he's getting backlash. And you have a lot of these liberal women who are saying, I told you so.
Well, I guess they're at the point now where it's either vote blue no matter who, which means voting for someone who has supposed rape allegations, and voting for Susan Collins, who isn't a MAGA Republican, but is still a Republican, still has an R next to their name.
When it comes to Graham Platner and these allegations and all the stuff, all the warning signs that this guy was a problem, he was a big problem. Again, this is now what is happening, okay? There's a whole lot of I told you so going on.
And I'm not even going to say I told you so.
But because even Janet Mills didn't have anywhere near the support that he did. Who is the other candidate in Maine that could even potentially have a chance? I have no idea.
I'm not going to say that. What I am going to say though is like I really hope that folks take a moment to reflect about like what it is, who it is that they're willing to sacrifice in order to win, right? Like this is entirely knowable. This is very fork found in kitchen. Everything we have learned about this man over the past, 6-8 months, whatever, was all leading to this conclusion. I saw it very clearly. I never said it publicly because it's like, well, hey, we don't know that. But like after that New York.
Then why didn't you say it publicly?
Time story. This is very knowable, right? But
you could have warned people before the primary, hey, this guy's no good. You shouldn't vote for him.
There's a certain sect of people who like every time we learn something new about this man are like, well, but this was knowable, and some things are just worth losing over. If you ask me right now today, if it's, hey, would you rather have Graham Platner as a candidate and potentially win, or have him drop out, or have him stay in, like you might lose, whatever. Like, if it's winning with Graham.
See, because that isn't the question. Obviously, you're going to say, no, I wouldn't vote for him because of these allegations. Okay, fine. So you now have to answer the follow-up question, which is, if you want to maintain Democrat control of the Senate in Maine, who do you put in his place? Who's the better candidate?
Platner or like losing? I'm losing. I'm picking losing because some shit is worth losing over.
Why do you assume it's a binary choice? Why do you assume it's either Platner or bust? Who else could possibly represent Democrats in the state who is also anti-wealth, anti-MAGA that could take his place? There has to be someone, right?
Because if you let him continue to stay in this race, and if he wins potentially, like you're saying that okay, no consequences. This story, I would encourage you to read it. It's I believed it from the beginning, right? Like but it's like this story is just, yeah, some shit's worth losing over. I want Medicare for all too. I do.
See, I believe my position was that it was possible that the allegations were true, but there really wasn't evidence one way or another. I also didn't think that it would matter, which is
I want
questionable.
Medicare for all too. I want the billionaires to pay. I want that too, but not if it means letting this slide. No, no. Damn, we're gonna have to get them next time. We're gonna have to get them next time. Cause no, I just wonder if for some folks they will take this as a moment to reflect, to say like, damn, I was really willing to let that's just damn, yeah. Yeah, fork found in kitchen.
See, again, that doesn't do anything,
I think from here
because I mean, because Janet Mills, I don't believe, dropped out because the Democrats told her to. And it's one where maybe they did. She didn't have enough money. She didn't have enough money. She didn't have enough support. She was never going to win the primary. Who was the pick, the actual pick, outside of Graham Platner? Like, you saying that means that you've already given up. Well, we might as well just concede that we've lost because we decided to primary a guy who was never going to get in the spot.
we need to view the
Fine.
Nazi tattoos as disqualifying from the jump. And I think we probably should have done that this time around, because I think that a Nazi tattoo or being a member of a private mercenary group, I think those things probably indicate some disregard for human dignity that is likely to manifest in other ways as well. And I want to own my own complicity in this, because when Graham Platner launched, I posted at least one, I think several videos, being excited about his launch. There were a lot of talking points that were circulated. There were a lot of asks to get name recognition up, and I need to be doing my own diligence on these people, because had I known that he was in Blackwater, I would never have posted that in the first place, and I've been very quiet about him since more information came out. And I'm much more careful now about the candidates that I post to support and who is vouching for them, because it's become abundantly clear that there is a group of progressive left strategists, and I'm truly like not naming names because I don't have names. It's just clear that they exist, who will see any white guy with a beard who's willing to say the progressive populist talking points and say, get on.
Why do you assume race and sex factor into it at all? You could be a dog saying, tax the rich and Medicare for all, healthcare for all, and they'd gladly welcome you on board. Race has nothing to do with it. You can be white, you can be black. All you have to do is say the talking points. That's all you have to do. It's not like they check. It's not like they have some sort of internal verification system to determine whether you're lying or not. They don't think people can do anything wrong, so I don't think they think people can lie either. So you just go up to them and you just say, yeah, free Palestine, and they will literally just let you in. No questions
Or we gotta
asked.
make him the next guy. And that is because of this brain rot that exists where people are like, well, women and people of color can't win because look at Kamala Harris, look at Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I am. Like, what is your point? They're like, oh, we gotta vote for Slotkin. That's our girl. But
Look at Karen Bass. In this race, Susan Collins is a woman. Like, being beat out by Graham Platner, who is a man.
also,
Unless these
women
people
can't
don't
vote. That's a
identify as their
terrible candidate.
gender
That's like
or as their
looking at Jeb
sex.
Bush's primary campaign and saying, oh, well, I guess a white guy named Bush just can't win the presidency. And I've been really quiet about Platner since then. Like, I have not spoken on him. And that may have been the wrong call. And you're completely within your rights to think that that was the wrong call, especially given what's already come out. And I do think, like, a ton of white progressive leftists defending him did a lot of harm in terms of perception of progressive populism among people of color and Jewish people. And I would just really like if we no longer had to make like moral compromises to support candidates that desperately need to win elections for harm mitigation, whether that is Kamala Harris or Graham Platner or whoever.
Great, fine. Then who do you put in these positions? Who has a better record? Who's done less questionable things?
Else, like, I would just really like if we purity tested solely on, do you have respect for human dignity? Because if the answer to that is yes, you are not going to support a genocide in Palestine, you are not going to join Blackwater, and you are not going to be committing sexual assault. But if Fetterman into Platner has not demonstrated for people that we have got to stop seeing some random white dude who looks like he could be a Republican, who says that he's on the left, and saying, oh my God, that's our guy. We have to stop doing that. Not just like the progressive populists, but the entire Democratic Party. Because the solution to winning elections is not we need to nominate white dudes. It's that we need to nominate people who are good. And I just feel like when the Nazi tattoo...
No, it's about electing people who represent your vision for legislation and the direction of the country. Being good, arguably, doesn't have anything to do with it. Is one of the most useless factors in the equation.
Broke. That was perhaps enough to say, maybe not this guy. And I just want to close with this quote from the woman who came forward. One of the reasons I didn't come forward sooner was the huge moral conflict that I had between supporting his politics but not supporting him as a person. I'm not saying they're perfect candidates, but we could do a lot fucking better than we have been doing.
I don't know. I mean, again, you've, like he said in his apology,
Absolutely amazing.
you've supported it up until this point. If you, why would you believe this person's narrative when he has been consistent the whole time that any sort of allegations about any sort of assault aren't true? I mean, before, when it was a woman, getting dragged out of a car, being forced into a room, and being told that she was going to stay there until she calmed down, that was acceptable. That didn't set off any red flags whatsoever. But they were happy to either believe that that narrative was false, or they were happy to dismiss it as being acceptable enough behavior that you could still vote for him. I don't know what this changes. If you don't believe that he actually did it, if you believe his narrative that he didn't actually do anything, that he's innocent, then that doesn't change. And if you supported him even though he actually sexually, or I guess not sexually, he assaulted someone, then I don't understand what sexual assault or sexual violence. I don't know why that would be a problem. I don't understand why the support is going away.
I just can't wait to hear what Kyle Koklinski has to say about this, right? I can't wait to hear him explain how he'd be totally fine with Graham Platner sexually assaulting his wife if that means that he can flip that Senate seat, right? We're gonna see. I'm just saying that the left is gonna have a hard time doing mental gymnastics around this, right? The whole believe all women thing, the whole,
No, they're not. I mean, they're gonna do it just as easily as they do it for anything else.
Hey, you're supposed to.
I mean,
to take these allegations seriously, and they're supposed to be better than everybody else, right? They're supposed to be better than everybody else. They have to take the moral high ground, right? I can't wait to hear these people explain, right, why we should not believe these women. I personally, again, don't know if these allegations are true or not. I just feel like the Nazi tattoo thing, again, should have been a red flag, right? This dude got a Nazi tattoo, but
again, there have been red flags the whole time. I'm almost watching, like, Joe Biden, where they were all happy to ignore all of his antics before this. But now, this one single event has taken all of the support, has taken all of the people who were at one point in time saying that he should have the position, that he should be the candidate, have now completely 180'd. No one believes that anymore. Or some of the people, I won't say a lot of the people, some of the people who thought that before don't think that anymore. Think the exact opposite. This is Joe Biden. They saw him falling downstairs. They knew that he needed a pamphlet with the answers that the journalists were going to ask on it so that he would know the answers to give. We knew this the whole time. We saw it in front of our eyes. It was no secret. And the entire time, they sat there and denied it. Oh, it's not happening. Oh, that's not real. It's cheap fakes. It's intended to make him look bad. No, this is how he's acting. The camera just accidentally happened to be pointing at him while he decided to do this gaffe. I don't know what to tell you. This is the same thing. You were happy to excuse him calling out members of his unit for killing civilians to increase their kill count. You had him saying he was going to blitzkrieg women's asses or something, and that all of that was completely acceptable. But this one single allegation, this one single thing, like Joe Biden in that debate, that one single performance has taken all of the support and has completely flipped it against him.
Because he's a folksy white guy that looks like he can win over Republicans, and he says all the communist stuff, and he's Trump deranged. Hey, he's perfect, right? He's perfect. He was an amazing candidate according to these people. Again, despite all the red flags, again, we're going to see how they reconcile believe all women with these new allegations. I'm excited because it seems like this guy's campaign is imploding. Either way, I think that he's done, right? Whether he stays in or drops out, I think that this Senate race, specifically in Maine, is donezo, right? It's donezo for Democrats. But this is exactly what they get for getting in bed with these lunatics. I told you that it's going to backfire when you get in bed with these communists, right? These people are absolutely effing insane. And Democrats deserve everything that happens to them because their pursuit of power, right? Their obsession with power and stopping Trump at all costs is ultimately what's going to cost them what they tried to sacrifice all.
Again, when Trump is only going to have another 2 years, they are so bent on vengeance that they don't even realize that the thing that they are trying to seek vengeance on isn't even going to be there in another few years.
To get, right, which is power. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
I don't know. I don't know what to think. I guess I think the same thing that I thought during Biden's second run for the presidency is, if you truly believe that all Republicans are evil and you vote blue no matter who, then I don't know why you wouldn't support him. He's your candidate, baggage included. He denies the allegations. He claims to be a changed person from this person who he may or may not have been. Like, why not believe him? Or he did do those things, in which case, why weren't you screaming at the top of your lungs, don't vote for this person, he's actually not a good person, or you shouldn't vote for him because he's not a good person? Where were all these people? Oh, we need to make our voices heard. This one instance, this one particular moment, you knew that he shouldn't have been the candidate. You knew that they should have picked someone else, and you said nothing. I don't know. I don't know if the allegations are true. It's entirely possible that now that this person has come out, that maybe more people will come out. Again, I don't know if this person who is making these allegations is the same person that was making them before. I honestly can't remember what that person's name was. I don't know. I guess we're gonna see what happens.